This is the Pulse on Human Design. Okay, welcome to the Pulse on Human Design. Today I have a very special guest with me. I'm excited to introduce you to Laurie-Ann Murabito. Laurie-Ann is the host of Be in Demand podcast. She's a speaking coach. And because you're here for human design, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her human design, but that's not what we're going to be talking about. We're totally going to be talking about how you can use speaking to grow your business, because Laurie-Ann is the expert on that topic. So Laurie-Ann is a 4/6 emotional manifesting generator, and she has the Incarnation cross of the sleeping phoenix. If I remember correctly, her head, ajna, and will center are undefined, and the rest of her centers are defined. And that's really all we're going to say about your human design, Laurie-Ann. Welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be able to share my passion with more people.
So what makes you passionate about speaking as far as it pertains to business? Because you approach speaking differently than most speaking coaches, right?
Probably. And I think it comes from my 20 plus years as a professional speaker, stepping on stages, and that's how I made a living. And I just want to take people back a little bit further, because I'm sure that there are some people who are listening and like, yeah, well, that's great for you if you're like an extrovert and it's easy for you to speak in front of people. I am a reformed, painfully shy girl who couldn't even make eye contact with people and dared myself to look up at people a little bit longer. And that's how I basically taught my nervous system to make eye contact. But I accidentally said yes to a speaking opportunity. When it came around, people pointed at me and you do the speaking. And my head went up and down, and inside my body, I was like, what are you doing? You don't speak in front of people. But self-integrity is one of my highest values. And because I said that I was going to do this, I did it. That wasn't very good. It certainly was not the in-demand methodology that I have today. I just kind of got up there. I stepped into what I call the college professor and just started lecturing the audience for about 15 minutes. And then it came to a screeching halt when I said, if you'd like to learn more or have any personal questions that you'd like to ask me, I'll be in the back of the room. I just wanted to get away from all these eyes on me. And people came up to me and said, you didn't mention your website or if you work with people. And I was like, inside I'm thinking, did you not see the train wreck that just happened? But also I don't think I knew to share that information with people. And so I honestly thought that was a fluke. That one time, that was just a fluke. But I did try and speak again. And again, people came up to me and I was like, this is pretty interesting. I had left my corporate job with no business plan. And here I was now attracting clients via speaking. So to answer your question in a very long about way, again, I am a speaker. So, speaking is just such a lovely way to build that know, like, and trust with an audience that has already basically raised their hand to say they're interested in your topic. They have the pain that they believe that you can solve. And that's why they're sitting in the audience.
And what I find interesting about the way that you teach speaking is that a lot of people think they need to speak. When we hear speaking, we think we have to speak for money, whereas you use speaking to grow your business. So how would you suggest someone get started with that?
Okay.
Other than hire you?
It's fantastic to get paid on the front end, but you really can make so much money by getting paid on the back end. And that is, from attracting leads, sales calls, selling products. It's just unlimited on the back end. And how do you get started? So if you've never spoken before, I'm going to ask you this one question. Do you have a speaker in your bio? And most likely, the people who, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're shaking your head, no, I don't, because you don't consider yourself to be a speaker. And I want you to step into it, and I want you to claim that title. if you want to start speaking, let's add it to your bios on all your social medias. That way, when somebody comes to your social media and they're reading your bio, it's like, oh, you're a speaker. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. So I always tell people who are beginning, start with your warm audience. Start with your warm market. Let's reach out to all the people that you know that might be in a position who run a Facebook group that has speakers, has a podcast, has a private community. Start reaching out to those people that you know, and also the groups that you're also a paying member of. If they bring in speakers, offer your services. Now, here's how I want you to do this, because I don't want you to say like, hey, you should hire me to speak at your next meeting. I want it to be even nicer than that. I have what I call the open door, open the door to the conversation. We want to just inquire. Hey, I notice that we have monthly speakers that come into our association, our Facebook group, our mastermind. I was wondering, what's the process for finding and booking speakers? So now you're getting information from somebody else instead of trying to throw yourself on them. We've all seen those Facebook posts where people say, hey, I'm looking for some speakers for this event that I'm hosting. And people say, me. And it kills me because I don't know anything about you. And that's probably what the person who put that post up. I don't know anything about you. Whereas I would approach it as, I've done a little bit of homework. Maybe I found out what the event is, found out that they have this yearly, hey, congratulations on this is the third time that you're doing this event. What I speak about is XYZ. If you think that this would be interesting to your audience and this event, reach out to me. I'm just opening the door to having the conversation.
I love this for a few reasons. Because we all get, if we have a podcast or some type of stage, we get these blanket emails, these proposals that come in that the person has no clue what we're doing. I still get them for Health on Purpose. And that, I haven't done that brand for a few years now. And it's like there's no connection. They have no idea what I do. I have no idea what they do. They just want to show up on my stage. And it's like, no, it's gross. The other reason I love the way that you're talking about it is that you've just set up every single human design type to be able to do this. So if you're a projector and you're listening, you basically have just been inviting, you've had that inviting energy about you, and you're asking the person to invite you in. If you're a manifestor, you can consider that an initiation. If you're a generator type, you have basically given the person something to respond to, and you're responding to something in their world. And if you're a reflector, you're just a magical unicorn. So, you're showing up and being the barometer for that community, or offering to be the barometer for that community. So it can work for any human design type, which I absolutely love. And you probably didn't even know you were doing that. That's how magical you are.
I did. And I love the way you just summarized that because, I only know enough about human design just to make myself a little bit dangerous.
But you don't have to know all of the human design, right? You just have to know your own in order to use it well. Yeah. And that's something that I know in the human design space I'm always banging on about, is because we can fall into that pattern of thinking, oh, wait, I have to wait for this because of my human design, or I have to do it this way because of my human design. But there's a way to use every single opportunity that exists and, kind of make it match your human design in some way. Okay, so mostly who's listening to this podcast are human design practitioners. So what would you say? I know you talked about how to get started, but how do you see someone using speaking as a human design practitioner?
It's a great way to grow your business. Build trust with people, be positioned as the expert, build your network, step off the stage, and have more opportunities that are coming up to you. How lovely is it to speak to an audience of any size, and maybe like half of them sign up for your email list. And, these are humans that are very interested in what you speak on because they just saw you speak, they learned from you, and they want to continue that relationship with you. So these are fabulous. These are the type of people that you want on your email list. So there's just so many reasons why. I mean, it builds your personal brand. Talk about selling things in the back of the room and nurturing people. And it's speaking's the fastest way to grow your business. But we should also probably touch on that speaking is so much more than just stages and the Zoom room.
Thank you.
Okay. So much more. I mean, what we're doing here, this is a podcast. So I am coming onto your podcast. And so you are putting me in front of other people's OPA is what I call it, other people's audiences. And I have a podcast. So that's my platform, my stage. So I'm coming onto your stage, but it's speaking in masterminds. It's doing a sales presentation. It's talking at a networking event, just getting to know people. It doesn't have to be where you're holding a microphone right up there on the stage with the podium and everything. There's so many different forms of speaking. I tell people, find a platform, find a stage that meshes with your personality and also your lifestyle. So if you're a busy mom, might be, I can't predict when I'm going to have childcare or when the babies are going to be sleeping. So I can't even say yes to a speaking opportunity. I have a client and she lives on a boat. She doesn't have very good Wi-Fi. So she can participate in summits where she pre-records something and sends something to somebody. Otherwise, she has to wait until she's docked and has to find, like a co-working space. But she has a podcast. That's her stage. So think about some sort of a live stream. Maybe Instagram stories can become your stage, Instagram lives. You can also think of having a show. And when I say a show, a live stream show on, pick your social media platform where your ideal clients are hanging out and show up at the same time each week, if that works for you and your lifestyle. So I just want you to start thinking about all the different ways that you can be sharing your message, your passion, your thought leadership with audiences, because it's from those stages that you build yourself that meeting planners, organizers are going to see you, and that's where they're going to come and check you out. They're going to go watch some of those lives, because that's very different than a speaker reel.
And even it doesn't matter even if you ever want to get hired by a meeting planner or not. Speaking really is something that we all have to do in our businesses. If we are big girls and big boys, we have to speak. Like, we have to work through that fear of standing up and being counted. It's part of what builds your authority. Even if you're just, I'm putting that in air quotes, showing up on your Instagram stories or on a Facebook Live or in a group that you manage, it's all about claiming your authority in the space. And we need more of that in the human design space. Like, we don't need more faceless reels and more hiding behind. I mean, B-roll content is great and all those things, but there's something magical that happens in your energy and the energy of people who are hearing you when you actually are in conversation or when you're speaking. It makes a difference.
Yes. And to give everybody a hint out there so that you feel comfortable on the camera, whatever platform you decide, just look in the camera. Don't look at the video of yourself. Look in the camera. One of the best compliments I ever got when I first came into the online world and was speaking virtually is somebody said, "You have the most amazing eye contact." And I was so touched. And it's because I'm looking in the camera. You're looking right into other people's eyes. So if you are doing some sort of a live stream and you can't help it but look at yourself, well, then take a sticky note, put it over your face, write your notes on there, what you're going to talk about, because you're going to keep it short and concise, and just look at the camera. You will come across as confident, and it will make you feel so much better. And then you're going to show up more, and you'll do it again and again and again.
And if you are not embarrassed by the first few times you speak, then you've done something wrong. I remember, back in my direct sales days, it used to be, when are When are you ready to teach your first class? Well, after you've taught your first class. When are you ready for your podcast, to start your podcast? After you've really bombed the first few. If you don't look back on your first few podcast episodes with embarrassment, then maybe you didn't give it your all, right? So you always have to
Right.
start before you're ready.
Yes. And my first podcast episode I had been guesting on other people's podcasts, and that was easy. But my own, where I had to
Mhm.
talk to myself in my walk-in closets and lecture to my sweaters, that was hard. But I was like, Laurie-Ann, your podcast recording muscle is weak.
Yeah.
And I also never re-recorded like that original episode. If anybody's interested, you can go and listen to that, and you can just tell the difference to the episode that comes out this week.
Mhm.
And my very first Facebook Live is still up, and I'm very flat, what I call very two-dimensional, almost like delivering the news information. Like you couldn't even feel my soul. That's my first one, and I leave it up there because I tell people, like, go watch it.
Yeah.
Go see what a professional speaker who came into the online world, how she like talked and had to learn how to talk to a camera when there wasn't anybody to get energy from, but I learned how to bring my energy.
Mm.
It's so different. It's a skill. It's just a muscle. Got to do the
Mhm.
reps.
Mhm. And one more tip that I was thinking of when you said about looking into the camera is put a picture of someone you love, someone who you love speaking with, your ideal client, whatever it is, but put that picture right near your camera so that you always are looking at that person as you're speaking. And if it's someone you'd love to work with or you have loved working with in the past, it makes it really easy to speak the message for your business that you need to speak. So that can help too
Absolutely.
with the camera thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that you are speaking to someone. I love that one.
Okay, so say someone is listening in and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. She's inspired me. I know I need to speak. I know it's the way that I'm going to grow my business and stand in my authority and all of the things. Where do they start? Where do they find places to speak? You've mentioned a lot of different places to speak, but where should they find places?
Well, when it comes to organized meetings and conferences, there are 20,000 events that are happening today.
Holy,
20,000 globally. In the
wow.
US, that number is 7,500. On average, there are 7,500. Now, me speaking on this podcast, me speaking on my podcast, me speaking in a mastermind, like those sort of events don't count towards that 7,500. So 7,500 comes from MPI, which is Meeting Planners International. So they're rating things based on hotel rooms that are being rented. So they literally are everywhere. You just have to get started. So that first one, I don't want you to do your first one and then run. Do your first one. Okay. And then at the end, you want to make sure that you have a conversation with whoever invited you and just ask them, like, hey, who else do you know that would benefit from what I just shared here with your audience? Could you introduce me to two people?
Mm.
So one event literally can turn into two more. Two more turns into another four, and so on. It literally will snowball very quickly. So with over 20,000 events that are happening globally, they're in your backyard. So I'm still gonna go back to start with your warm market, people that you do know because they already know, like, and trust you, and they're more likely to say yes. And from there, once you get your feet a little wet with this, you get some speaking assets, you speaking, some testimonials, some video, then I would start reaching out to more of a cold market. And another great place to search different events and events that are coming like close to you, virtually and in person, is Eventbrite.
So simple.
That is such a wealth of information. Because also the person who is running the event, the host, like, their name is right there. So you could reach right out to them and have that open the door policy.
Mhm.
And also, I have a great directory of places to speak if you're really looking for like a curated list of places to really reach out to. This is a list of over 60 different organizations that's divided up into 6 different industries. And these are people that, or associations and groups that on the regular are constantly bringing in speakers for every single meeting. So that's also a great place to start.
I love that you have that. Thank you. We'll link that in the show notes for you. And what I would love to invite you to consider if you're listening and you're a human design practitioner is that human design goes with everything. So I think it would be a mistake to just look in the human design space for opportunities, because really you can look at human design in health, human design in parenting, human design in relationships, human design in business. All of the things go with human design. So how can you, and that might be a refreshing take for someone, maybe you're a meeting planner or you've got a summit planned or something and you just wish you could find something different. I mean, we've all been in that space where we've wanted like the creme de la creme that's going to just make people want to buy the tickets. Well, why not add human design to that? It's sexy.
It is very sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here. I so appreciate you. And if you're actually, I'm going to ask you to let people know where to find you. I was going to be like, oh, you got to go find Laurie-Ann here, but you do you.
Thank you. My website is speakandstandout.com, and that's a great place to find anything else that you're looking for. But I hang out on Instagram and LinkedIn mostly, and my podcast is called Be in Demand. So if you're looking for more information on how to really leverage speaking opportunities, I would suggest head on over there and just start binge listening.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. It's an amazing podcast. Thank you again for being here, Laurie-Ann.
Thank you.